All right, welcome back. We're here for episode number 23. We've got a jam-packed show, some recruitment talk as far as Javonte Barnes, Devin Jackson, Gentry Williams, and then just kind of discussing as far as the preseason award list and like updates on who's been nominated for what and what the trophy and what the award is for and how they award it. But before we get into that, we just want to say we really appreciate all the support. We like the interactions as far as the comments and any, constructive criticism or your opinions on a certain topic. We really like seeing you guys make an input or any request you guys would like us to discuss. Make sure to let us know. Especially on the Whodats. We've got Isaiah Coe coming up next week. That was requested by a subscriber, and we'd be more than happy to cover a guy that you would like. If you hadn't already, make sure to like and subscribe, and then definitely leave a comment if you're feeling like you should. So we'll get going into it. We'll talk about Javonte Barnes. It will be the first recruit we're going to talk about. He's a 2022 four-star running back out of Las Vegas. Goes to Desert Pines High School, and he's the number 8 running back in the class. Granted, I know OU's already got 2 of the top 4 running backs in the 2022 class, so it's hard to imagine that a guy like him would be taking OU seriously. But it speaks highly to what DeMarco Murray and his ties have with the Las Vegas, Nevada area. Maybe with Malachi Nelson on board, there could be a little bit of influence coming from there. But he has OU very high on his list. We'll get going into it. Jerry, you want to lead us off with any input?
I'm very excited. I think I'd be very excited for John Vontae. He's our biggest running back. Gavin and Raleek are very small. I mean, not very small, but they're definitely smaller than him. He's the biggest, 6 foot. He's the more physical back. And I think the reason we're so high and have a good chance of getting him is because I think Raleek's really going to play receiver. He's just exciting. He's going to be our most physical back out of this class probably, and he's exciting.
Yeah. Jose, do you have anything to add on Javonte?
Yeah, no, I think the reason, like Jerry said, the reason that he wants to be potentially he wants to be a Sooner and that the Sooners want him so much is because it seems like Raleek Brown is going to transition over to being a receiver once he gets to Norman. Maybe he'll be a gadget guy where he'll play, wildcat, and things like that. But Javonte is much bigger than Gavin and Raleek. He will more than likely be kind of the change of pace back where we kind of just need to slow the game down, give the guys a little bit of a breather, and he'll just punch the ball down. Maybe a red zone back where he'll be getting a lot of the touchdowns, while Gavin and Raleek are getting the yards, the flashy plays. He's going to do the dirty work and make sure that we get the 6 points once we do get to the red zone.
Yeah. And one thing that I find interesting with Barnes is I don't think he's really truly interested in being the bell cow or the number 1 running back in the room. I really think he's a guy that wants to be a part of a committee, like how OU has ran it with, 2 backs at once, the trading off, every other drive or mixing them in here and there. I really think he likes that idea of playing with guys that are similar skill as him and then being able to stay fresh and maybe not get hurt as much. Or I think his ultimate goal, obviously all football players' ultimate goal when they go to college is to make it in the NFL, but especially running back, when NFL teams are evaluating college running backs, they look at their workload and like how much wear and tear have they've gotten in the last 4 years. And if they're the bell cow, taking every single snap for 2 years, that's a lot. Well, or you get a guy that's, is elite, but he's taken, half the snaps, and he's got a bunch of tread left on his tires, as they say. So I think he wants to be more of a committee guy and, 2 back sets with, Gavin Sawchuk and Javonte Barnes and then Raleek Brown in the slot. And that doesn't sound too bad. And Luther Burden out there with Caleb Williams. That doesn't sound too bad. So I find that interesting. A lot of guys struggle with that concept of, if you're a top 10 running back, you want to go to a program to be the number 1 guy. and not many kids really think or want to be a part of a committee. And I find that interesting. I think that's a good trait to have.
I think it takes a lot of pressure off them. When you go to a school and you're supposed to be the number one back, you got a lot of pressure to carry the team. And when you go to a committee, there's not that much pressure. You can just focus on your own game and do your thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like Brum said, it's unfortunate, but when they are going into the NFL, they're evaluated kind of like how anyone else would see a car. How many miles does the car have on it? These pro teams are looking at it. How much workload have these guys taken over the last 3 or 4 years that they've been with their college program? Because we see guys that are extremely talented, like Saquon Barkley. He had a lot of wear on his body, and now he's kind of paying for it in the NFL. I mean, it benefited him. He was a top pick in the NFL draft that he came into, but he's had some significant injuries, and he's going to his fourth year of his contract, or
I
third
believe
year.
it's 4.
So, I mean, he's still very young for an NFL player, and he has injuries that some players don't see in their career until they're, into year 10 or 11, if they get that far. So it is important that he has that mindset. And it is gonna benefit him if he does get to go to the league, because teams will see him as a team player. He's not a guy that's going to be selfish and just want to be running the ball every single snap. And he's probably going to be a pretty good locker room guy if he's got that pretty mature mentality. He'll be able to kind of rally the troops when needed. I'm not too sure about his leadership style, but I'm assuming this guy's maybe even an outspoken guy that will say, hey, it's going to help Lincoln Riley potentially with all this stuff that's been happening in the offseason for the Sooners. Limit that to hopefully none, because Javonte Barnes seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, and will help Lincoln straighten the guys out when needed.
Yeah, and it looks like he's got a couple visits lined up before the school year starts or football season starts, to South Carolina and Georgia. So he's going to make a trip out east. And I know he's visited a few other schools, but I really think it's going to come down between Oklahoma and Alabama. And his whole mindset kind of makes sense when you narrow it down to these two schools. Alabama's always going to have great players to complement you with in the running back room. And just like Oklahoma, I mean, they will as well. So I think it's going to become another Alabama-Oklahoma battle, and we'll see what happens. And maybe with Malachi Nelson on board, it might be that final push over the edge. But I'd imagine he'll be releasing his top schools, whether it's top 5, top 10. I bet that'll be coming in the next month or so, but we'll see. So, you guys have anything else to add on him before we move on?
Nope.
All right. So another guy that I think not a lot of people have probably heard about him, and it's a kid that's really kind of jumped onto the scene as far as recruiting radar for the Sooners, is a guy named Devin Jackson. He's a linebacker. He's a 2022 4-star, 150 overall, and number 18 linebacker from Omaha, Nebraska. He went to Burke High School. And just like we talked about in the previous podcast where we talked about Caden Helms and landing a recruit out in Nebraska, well, here's another guy. He's out of Omaha, and he's buddies with Helms, and they know each other. And, he's a bigger guy, 6'2", 200 pounds, and he is popped up on the Sooners radar. And because obviously, if you guys have been following general college football, Arizona State is in some hot water right now as far as recruiting goes. And he seemed to be an Arizona State lean prior to that. And I think that has kind of cooled off after what potentially could be sanctioned on the Sun Devils. So it's kind of opened up the door. Basically, he's reached out to OU, wants to start talking, and they've started talking again. And basically, OU wants them to join their class and pair up with Kip Lewis, the other linebacker that's already committed. And so, with Helms being there and potentially landing the second Nebraska recruit in the same cycle, Jose, do you have anything to say about him?
I think he's going to be kind of more of a developmental guy. He's big and athletic, just kind of the typical defensive guy that Grinch always looks for. But just from what his highlights have shown, it was a lot more special teams. So even in high school, he's still developing. Maybe by the time he graduates, he'll be a little more prepared for college. I wouldn't expect him to be like a guy that contributes as soon as he gets on campus. He'll probably be a redshirt for sure. But yeah, I think with him, he would be a good complementary guy to Kip. We have Kobe McKenzie, right?
In 2023.
Yeah. So we have these linebackers coming in, so he'll be a rotational guy. That's kind of what our defense is coming in to be. So hopefully this guy does come to be a Sooner, so that they can solidify that linebacker core, because I think that's really the part of the defense that still needs a little bit of improvement.
Yeah, and you're right. It's what's his name? He's not in 2023. He's 2022. I don't know why I said 23, but yeah, that would be quite the trio of linebackers to have them on board. Jerry, what do you have to say?
I think if he develops the right way, I think he could be our best coverage linebacker. In his huddle profile, he's listed as a receiver and outside linebacker. I think if you develop him to put that on the defensive side, and I think he can be the one we put on tight ends, and I think he'll be our best coverage linebacker. He's pretty quick for a linebacker. I don't think he had a 2020 season, so I think his recruiting rankings could go up. But I think he's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and you think about a recruiting class of Kobe McKenzie, like you pointed out, Jose, and then Kip Lewis, and then him. That's 2 4-stars and a 3-star in a recruiting class. And I think that speaks highly of Oklahoma, because I remember, gosh, it's been the last few years where I just felt like that we couldn't recruit any decent linebackers, whether they're, like mostly inside linebackers. Obviously, Kobe McKenzie is an inside linebacker from what I've read. And I don't know, where Devin Jackson or Kip Lewis would fit in, but a trio of linebackers, of a couple 4s and a 3-star, it seems like it's turning around. That is the one spot, that inside linebacker spot, and just having multiple guys on campus, obviously since Kenneth Murray's left, is huge. And I think it's starting, not saying that this is a done deal that Devin Jackson's going to be a Sooner, but the fact that he's reached out and started communication again, and OU's been very receptive of it, and I would imagine Devin Jackson would be a take no matter what. I mean, that would be quite the haul to put in this class.
And it would be exciting to add, the defensive side of the ball seems to be really important for a recruiting team right now. Obviously, offense is always key, but I don't think we've seen so much defensive focus for the recruits. Like we're focusing on 5 and 4 stars, and obviously, like we've got 3 stars that we see as very talented guys that can come in and contribute at some point in their Oklahoma career. But like you said, I can't remember a time where we had so much talent just right off the bat. Like it always seemed like these guys are going to come in, develop over the next year or two, and then they'll contribute to our team, because we had this cycle of just developing guys that didn't have the hype coming out of high school. Now we're starting to get to, we're getting 4-star, 5-star corners, defensive linemen. And now we're going to start seeing that for the linebackers, hopefully, so that all phases of the defense are full of hopefully just raw talent that we have to develop and just contain and show them how to play a more, I guess, better in the scheme that Grinch wants them to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, and just establishing those roots in the Nebraska area, I think that could pay dividends down the road. I don't know what's in the 2023, 2024 classes up in that Midwest region, but there's bound to be a couple guys that are probably top 50, top 100 talents that OU would, probably be interested in. It really makes a big difference. I think Jerry brought it up on the previous episode with Caleb Williams, the DMV area, all the talent that's came out of there, and now went back to the well and got Derek Moore to commit. And now you've got Malachi Nelson out in the West Coast, and Raleek Brown that could be planting the seed over in there. I really think this area is like one of the big areas, obviously Southeast, in Florida, that's already starting to really bloom. They're really starting to cover all their bases. And I think this could be something really good to start conquering that Midwest region.
For sure.
So All right. If you guys don't have anything to add, we'll move on to one of the most coveted prospects that OU is targeting in the 2022 class. That's Gentry Williams, 2022 five-star, number 35 overall prospect and number 7 corner in the class. He's obviously from Tulsa, so he's a homegrown kid. Would hate to lose him to an out-of-state program like the last few top guys that have left the state, with I think Josh Proctor and then Dax Hill going to Michigan. Those hurt. It seems like there's a lot of hype. He went out to USC over the Champ U barbecue. There seemed to be a lot of hype after that trip that he went out with Chris McClellan, who's from Owasso. He's another great kid that the Sooners are trying to get. But I felt like there was a lot of hype. Crystal balls from 247 analysts went in and they all went to USC. And I will credit that Brandon Drum never flopped his crystal ball, who's the OU one of the OU beat writers. And he's kind of, been saying it might not be a done deal. And I really think that, like I said it whenever the video came out, I really think there's a lot of smoke right now. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of coming off that visit high, and that he's really loving USC. And I think the longer he waits, the more it's going to be going in the Sooners' favor. He's supposed to be going down to OU in the next couple of weeks or next weekend, July 31st for the Champ U Barbecue Part 2. And then I think he's visiting for the Nebraska game, if I remember right. I really think OU is going to land him in the long run. Jerry, do you have anything to add with him?
I think he's just definitely someone that we have to keep. We can't lose him. He's just freaky athletic. You can't let him slip away. We let that happen too much.
Oh, Jerry, you cut out again. I don't know why. You did. But while it's coming back, Jose, you want to add some stuff about him?
Yeah, I think other than him being extremely talented and athletic, obviously, like we've said it multiple times now, that he is the prototypical Grinch prospect for corner. He's also in Oklahoma. We can't keep losing these in-state guys to out-of-state programs, like you said earlier. Just like every other school, not only do you want to recruit good talent from all places of the country, but you want to make sure that you're establishing roots in the place that you're at. If these guys from Tulsa don't feel appreciated by our program, they might start going over to Oklahoma State, which no one wants. So we just got to make sure that we keep him happy. He really likes his next couple of visits, because I think, like you said, right now it seems to be he gets super excited after a visit, and all these reporters see that as this is where he's going. So I think it'll really show after this next visit on July 31st. If he comes out of it super excited, super happy, then we might start seeing some of these crystal balls start shifting over to OU. Probably not with very good confidence, but it may be the time, all about timing for his recruitment rather than what does he really like. He might just be coming off of that visiting high, like you called it earlier.
Yeah. So you brought up some good points. Jerry, are you back?
I think so. I don't know. Wi-Fi keeps not wanting me to talk.
Yeah, you're good. Do you have anything to add or anything?
I mean, I'm sure y'all probably said it, but we just definitely can't lose him. We've lost too many last few years. Just can't lose Gentry. He's too good, too athletic.
Yeah, no, for sure. And right now the defensive back recruiting looks like you've got Robert Spears Jennings from Broken Arrow, Jaden Rowe from Union and Tulsa, and then you've got Xavion Bryce. So you can kind of look at two of them are projects. Jaden Rowe from Union is more of he's a pretty good corner, athletic, kind of a raw prospect, but not as much of a project. So you've got three guys that are extremely athletic, long. And I really think if the Sooners just landed Gentry Williams in addition to those three, I think that's a win for the defensive back recruiting in itself as far as corners go. And I know that they're going to keep recruiting like LaTerrence Welch. I think Jose brought him up, I don't know, maybe a month ago. or so. I know he visited for the Champion Barbecue. I know Zion Branch he's in the Las Vegas, Nevada area, but he seems to be a Ohio State lean. And then you've got, I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, Azariah Thomas. He's from Florida. I know OU's been talking with him. He's a 4-star and trying to get him on campus. And then they're continuing to talk with Dominique Jackson, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dominique Jackson, but he is a 5-star, the top corner in the 2022 class. And he goes to Mater Day. So he's teammates with Raleek Brown. And he is currently committed to USC. But I question how firm his commitment is with the Trojans. Honestly, if he were to flip, I'd imagine it'll be to the Crimson Tide. But the idea and the thought of visiting OU this fall is there with Jackson. So he might come on campus this fall. And it doesn't matter how many scholarships you've got. A guy like Dominique Jackson, if he wants to be a Sooner, will be a Sooner, no matter what. Not saying he's going to be a Sooner, but, if OU just ends with Williams, I think that's a win. You just can't let Williams get out of your own backyard.
Yeah.
Someone else I think OU fans should keep an eye on is I don't know if I know his name right, but Javion Ottaviano. He's Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
And he's gone again.
He's gone again. Yeah. No, he brought up a good point. That he kind of reacted to some of the hype as far as after seeing Malachi commit and Trayon Webb commit. He's someone that could definitely be someone that could be a Sooner in the long term. Are you back, Jerry?
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know. So, but I was seeing it. Do you have anything more to add with him?
With who?
With Javion Otan, I think is Otanio. Is that how you say it?
Something weird, yeah.
Yeah, nothing else on him, but
No, I just think something to keep an eye open for. He's been tweeting about OU, and it's something exciting. I think he's the number one corner in his class. I might be 23, I don't know, but I'm kind of getting sneaky about him, thinking about him.
Yeah,
seems like Oklahoma is looking for one more corner for this class, for the 2022 class, just to fill in the DB room, to keep it, to have a nice rotation as people start graduating, going to the NFL. We obviously need to put, next man up. So if it's Gentry, or if it's the guy you mentioned that's currently committed to USC, or the LaTerrence Welch guy, we just as soon as one of those commits to Oklahoma, I think that it'll shut down the other two, because either we won't have scholarships, or we just don't need them, and we can move the scholarships to O-line or D-line, because we still have Brownlow Dindy out there that we haven't heard much from, but everyone still expects him to be a Sooner once he makes his commitment.
Yeah, Jerry, I looked him up. It's Javion Tovino. There's no O, I don't think. So it's Javion Tovino. I don't know, but he's from Arlington, Texas. Yeah, he's the number 5 corner in the 2023 class. He's pretty elite, but yeah, that's definitely someone to keep an eye on, especially if OU gets off to a great start this fall on the defensive side and obviously wins football games. You could see a guy like him maybe come into the fold and really start to be interested. So
yeah.
I don't think I have anything else. Do you guys have anything more?
That is all. Okay.
More of just a kind of a discussion and kind of some hype as far as leading into this year. Some preseason award watch list nominees that the Sooners have gotten. A dynamic duo of Nick Bonino and Isaiah Thomas is the Chuck Benark award list. I think that's how you say the last name. And so they're on it, and it's a judged by the Maxwell, or sorry, not the Maxwell. It's just the best defensive player in the country. And so it's a great player. Obviously, Nick Bonino and Isaiah Thomas are going to be competing for that. I would imagine Nick Bonino might have the edge in that. Do you guys have anything to say with that?
Yeah, I think Bonito is probably the favorite there, unless Isaiah Thomas just has a breakout crazy year, I think Benito is probably going to be the guy from Oklahoma to win that. I just don't know who the rest of who is on the list outside of OU, but hopefully one of the OU boys gets it this year. It would be nice because then people actually take Oklahoma seriously for defense and stop saying that we only play offense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jerry, do you have anything to add with him?
I'll probably say what Ho said. I think it's definitely Benito's award to win with a slight chance. Isaiah's a dark horse, but it's definitely Benito's the one to do it.
Yeah. And then moving on to Marvin Mims, Maxwell Award watch list, which it's it's a judge by a group of people, sportscasters, writers, NCAA head coaches, and the Maxwell Football Club is the best all around, um, player and stuff like that. It's really just a terrific athlete, terrific player. You know, Marvin Mims is on there. Spencer Rattler is on there as well. I mean, if I were to guess, Spencer probably would have a better chance at it because it is the quarterback spot. And that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. Um, and then obviously Spencer Rattler, he's in the running with the Davey O'Brien Trophy, which is the best quarterback in all college football. And I think leading into this year, I think he's the heavy favorite. He's the favorite to win the Heisman. If he does what he's supposed to do, I think he'll clean house and win the Heisman and the Davey O'Brien and the Maxwell and just go through it all. And then you got Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray on the Doak Walker Award watch list, best running back in college football. Doak Walker was a running back from SMU, and that's when the award was developed after he got done playing football. And then you've got Jeremiah Hall for the AFCA Good Works team, which is basically athletes that go above and beyond in their community and get recognized for it. There's 22 recipients in football for that award, and he's on that list. And because Jeremiah Hall is just an all-around good guy, and he deserves a little bit of recognition because he does a lot of the dirty work too. So, but I mean, what do you guys think? Anything to add on that? I mean, it's cool to see Eric Gray and Kennedy Brooks both on that Doak Walker Award watch list. What do you guys think?
I think the Davey O'Brien Award, I think that's just a competition between Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler, but I think Spencer will take it because I see OU winning more games in North Carolina, so that's really the only competition I see there, though.
I think that the award that is more an Oklahoma players to lose is the Davey O'Brien by Spencer. It seems like, being the favorite, turning quarterback, big program, it's kind of his to win or his to lose. I think I would be surprised if our players do win either the Doak Walker or the defensive one. I can't remember the name of it.
Chuck Benaric one.
The Benaric one, just because the defense one more than likely going to go to an SEC player just because they're known to be a defensive conference, whatever reason, like it or not, that's just how it is. And running backs, there always seems to be a guy that just hops onto the scene that may outperform him. And we play running back by committee. So if you guys like, is it Bijan Robinson down in Texas? He'll probably be more of a bell cow. Deuce Vaughn at K-State. And that's just in our conference. There's going to be players in the Big Ten and the SEC that are going to break out and have crazy seasons. So we'll see, but hopefully they all win it, or at least are finalists by the end of the season, because that'd just be cool to have on their resumes and say, we have all around great talent all over the field.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we're like, 40 something days away from football starting.
I think it was 45. Jaden Hazelwood put that up on his story today, I think, or TikTok. I don't remember.
Yeah, 45, man. This off season's kind of flown by. I'm ready. We're getting in the dog days of summer. I'm ready for some football. So, but if you guys don't have anything else to add, I think this is all we've got for this show. Like I mentioned in the beginning, the watch for the next Whodat we've got coming out, which is Isaiah Coe, which was requested by one of you guys. And then if you hadn't already, definitely go check out the Kelvin Gilliam one that was released this past week or earlier this week. That one was a really good one and someone that could be a big contributor in the next couple years. If you hadn't already, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think about this award list. Anything that you think that could pop up, or maybe a dark horse for the award, and anything you have to add on to the recruits and recruiting in Omaha and Nebraska area, or anything like that, and Gentry Williams. So we really appreciate all the support, and we will continue turning out the content to you guys. We've got another big weekend coming up in the next, 10 days. And then before we know it, it's going to be football time in Oklahoma, which is pretty cool to say. And it's almost there. And so make sure to keep spreading the word, sharing this video, liking, and because we're really trying to grow this podcast, and we'll keep it coming. So thank you guys.